Welcome yet again to the Sage. Thank you for continuing to be with us and for sharing our journey. These last few weeks and the weeks coming before our vital election are indeed exciting weeks. And for us on the show, exciting times. We are doing our utmost best to support the movement towards getting the very best people in leadership positions in this country. It is something our country needs so much. And so in line with that, what we hope is a noble objective, we are bringing before you people like you and I, but people inspired and courageous enough to come out, to vie for positions, and to serve. We would like to know that their primary intent is to serve for the common good. And so in line with that, to help all of us be wise as we use our votes, we will do our best to bring before you these courageous set of people, group of people who have put themselves forward to serve our country. For each person that comes, we tell them that we will listen with rapt attention to see the principles, to see the leadership principles which drives them. A few months ago, on the Sage, we put out a call of action. And we called on our fellow Nigerians that this time around, it shouldn't be business as usual. That people we elect into positions at all levels be people who are truly willing to serve, people who love this country, people who are going there for our common good. We pleaded that we put our divisions aside, that we love this beloved country in action by doing what we need to do. And we asked the electorate to vote. Only vote for those you genuinely feel have those qualities of leadership that demonstrates love of country and a genuine willingness to serve. And so in line with that, we are reaching out to many people aspiring to positions. In the last few weeks, we've talked to some for governorship elections. We shall be going far and wide. Today, on set, we have two amazing aspirants. They will, before you, tell you, portray to you, try their best to allow you to see whether they are indeed the type of leader we need at this critical point in our history. Stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Sage, and thank you for continuing to stay with us. I think at this point in time, I need to make a public disclaimer. Let me assure you that the wonderful guests I have on set today, this is the very first time I have met them. I have no political affiliations with them. I am not here to further their agenda, and therefore this is the first time we have ever met, and so on. And so it is our attempt to cast our net wide and we owe no allegiance to any political party or to any person. And so we are trying to get from various political parties. What is important to us is that despite the platform on which the candidate is contesting, let it be the genuine thing. Let the candidate be the best person qualified and suitable to serve our country. And so, based on that platform, I have two wonderful young people. They are young compared to me, on set today. First of all, I have Juliet Ikhayere, a wonderful young lady. This one embodies everything I want as I aspire to empower young people. And to support women. So, when I saw her name, like I said, I didn't know her before. I said, that's the type I want. A young lady, and a young woman, bold enough to try and reach for the skies. Juliet, you're welcome to the set.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
And I have also Olanrewaju Osho, older than Juliet, but much younger than me. A wonderful person. So it's a pleasure, a privilege to discuss with you and to give you this opportunity to talk to our audience and tell them about your political ambitions. But before I ask you questions and give you the floor, because that's why you're here, let me just introduce you a bit more to our audience so that they understand who they're talking to.
Thank you.
Olanrewaju, if you don't mind, I usually resort to first names. It makes it easier after that.
That's okay.
Particularly, I'm afraid of Juliet's surname. Yeah. I run away. Ikhayere can be a tongue twister. So from now on, it will be Juliet and it will be Olanrewaju. Let me start with Olanrewaju. He is a development architect, a public affairs practitioner, a communications specialist, and regulatory sector development advocate with a passion for promoting innovation and excellence. He graduated from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, with a bachelor's and a master's degree in mass communication. He holds a certificate in branding from the University of London and participated in the Senior Missions Leadership course at the National Defense College in Nigeria. He graduated from the Redeemed Bible College in 2001 with an advanced diploma in theology. Currently, he is a principal partner at Enrogel Optimum Synergy Limited, a corporate solutions and innovation-driven consultancy firm. He is the author of the Nigeria Regulatory Agencies Directory and the publisher of the Regulatory World magazine. He is a Ron Courts Fellow for Social Entrepreneurship and an alumnus of the United States Cultural Exchange Program, through which he served for over a decade as the president of the International Visitors Leadership Program Alumni Association. Olanrewaju has had a long and distinguished career. If I continue to read your bio, we shall stay here the whole day. Let me just say that he's also been a strong advocate for road safety and has worked extensively for many years in support of safety on our roads and has many, many wonderful accomplishments in that area. He has done so many other things, and my apologies that we cannot go through it all. But let me say that he is, as he says, an ardent lover of Nigeria, and he believes that with good leadership, Nigeria will take its rightful position in the world. That is music to our ears. Olanrewaju, welcome to the set.
It's my pleasure for being here. Thank you, ma'am. Hello, Nigerians.
Great. And I turn to Juliet. Let me say, as I prepped for the show, Olanrewaju's CV was that long, and my Juliet, I've already adopted you. See, when I see a young lady, a young person, I immediately adopt them and become a mom. Her own was short, showing you that, it's not been a very long lifespan, but it's been a lifespan that's been rich, and you have excelled in many things within that short time. So Juliet is a Kubwa FCT-born lady of Edo parentage. She graduated with a bachelor's degree from the University of Benin at a very young age. I wouldn't even say how young, under 20. Subsequently, she read law at the Enugu State University, after which she attended the Nigerian Law School and was called to bar as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This young legal practitioner is also a politician. She is aspiring to the Legislative House of Reps under the platform of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. She is currently doing a master's degree in maritime law. And in February 2022, she contested for a seat as a councillor to represent the people of Kubwa at the Bwari Area Council. She is the principal partner of Macom's J. Attorneys, and her interest revolves around advocacy, corporate progress, politics, youths, women, and child development. Her very last activity is this courageous decision to contest in the election. Let me say that Olanrewaju is contesting for Senate position under the platform of the Social Democratic Party. So we will try, as you can see, today with us we have SDP, we have ADC. A few weeks ago, we had somebody from the gubernatorial, which was Labour. And so we will try our best to bring the various parties and give candidates the opportunity to speak to our people. Olanrewaju, Juliet, you're welcome once again.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure being here again.
And so the show is yours. And I'm going to start. For me, unlike the conventional debate or press interviews and so on, what's for us on the stage is critical. We want to see the humanity in you. I personally feel that that is what will save our country. We want leaders with a heart.
That's true.
Until we can find leaders of integrity, leaders who want to share, leaders who understand the needs, leaders who have to be capable. We're a country of over 200 million. It should not be a problem to find capable people.
It shouldn't.
So you must combine a heart with ability. And therefore, those are the two bottom line things we're really looking for. Everybody who has the courage to come out must internally first reaffirm to yourself that you have these qualities, vie for the position, and when you get it, honor your vows to us. And so in line with that, my first question, as indeed I had posed to the others I had interviewed before this, to both of you, is what does love of country mean to you? For you, as you vow for senatorial position, as you vow for your position at the It's at the federal FCT level. What does it mean for you to say, it is a hope, of course, that it is because you love this country? What does love of country mean for you? And how are you going to demonstrate that if you win the position? Who would like to start?
Thank you, madam. Love of country means understanding the purpose for which your country was created, for which it exists. Like Miles Monroe said, when the purpose of a thing is not known, then abuse is inevitable. I do believe that Nigeria is not just a contraption that was made by accident. I do believe that God had a hand in allowing the colonialists to define Nigeria by the current geographical map. And I do believe that there's a reason why God has deposited so much wealth on the soil of this country. And I do believe that there's a purpose why Nigeria is the most populous Black African race. And I do believe that the destiny of every Black man is woven into the destiny of Nigeria. So, to watch such a country, blessed as she is blessed, endowed as she's endowed, to continually suffer because of poor leadership, I believe that love of the country means that I should step forward and do whatever I can to change the narrative and then to allow Nigeria to be unleashed on the world. The world is actually waiting for a Nigeria that will make the Black race anywhere in the world, Black Americans, Black Brazilians, Black, wherever they are found, to say, wait a minute, it's time to go back home. And that home is Nigeria.
Amen.
That's my desire. And that's what love of country means for me.
Beautifully said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Juliet.
For me, love of country is identifying the issues and not running away from them, but finding possible ways to solve those problems. And it doesn't just mean when you actually run for office. It means at every point in time when you find yourself in a country, in a particular space, you just see yourself as a solution provider and stepping out there to show more humanitarian service, your principles, display them. I think that's love for country. I would say this because all my life, I've always understood one thing. I never even knew I would run for office one day. But like they say, some leaders are born, some leaders are called, and some actually develop leadership skills. So for me, all my years of life since the age of 15, I found myself in positions whereby I serve in school without expecting anything, as a vice president, as a Congress member, as even an entrepreneur, serving people, giving them the required goods down to their doorsteps with integrity. And then later on went to study law, the moot court director, the legal clinic director, the ASG, and then to the law school, the group leader. There you're managing over 150 persons from different walks of life. And all we're seeing over the years was that we just display character for service, ability to accommodate people. Where there's a problem, you're thinking on your feet, applying wisdom, and integrating people together. And when the opportunity came for me to actually run for office, it was now for me to just fall in place, and that's being a solution provider. In Cuba world where I ran, there hasn't been any woman who has ever run for office in such manner. People thought we were even running for the seat of a president. We were able to engage, sensitize people, because here in the FCT, it's so unfortunate. People just come here and call themselves visitors, forgetting that they give birth to kids here, raise their kids here, and then they actually partake in the infrastructures that are in place, the little, and which could even be improved upon, but nobody cares. So stepping into that position when the opportunity came was very easy for me, because I see myself as a person that would not just cry or lament, but will put myself out there no matter what happens, just like the biblical Esther who says, if I perish, I perish. It doesn't matter if I'm a woman. It just matters if I can be able to display the kind of wisdom that my people need. And so for me, that is love for country, stepping out there, identifying the issues and being the solution.
Well said. Stepping out there, identifying the issues, the problem your community may have, and doing your best to be the solution and integrating people. And Olanrewaju says he recognizes the greatness of this country. He's so proud of his country. He wants this country to be a beacon to all the Black people everywhere, because it is great and because that is the God-given purpose for it. Great. Did I summarize your point?
Absolutely.
Great. So I will move on to the next thing. Love of country. Let me also add that unifying us to be able to do that is such an important thing. Because until we feel one, we feel united and patriotic, it might be difficult to achieve
that.
And so as you go into office, it will be good. It will be another thing to, again, that unity, that forgiveness, that bringing together is so important. And so it leads directly to my next question, really, which is, I call it the common good. Perhaps our common bounty. You can call it what you want. What do you, for you, what does that mean? And I call it the common good or the common, from two perspectives. One, that the resource, Olanrewaju had implied that, plentiful resources that exist. But also, so how would you ensure, that is my question, our common good? In your position in your office, whether as in the Senate or in the council, for you, what does it mean? How would you try to make it a reality?
The reason why I'm running for Senate actually is the nexus you just, broached now. Every part of Nigeria has a mantra. Center of excellence, jewel in the savannah, spring of, sunshine state. FCT is center of unity. But the more you look, the more you see a unity that is very delicate. And as long as we continue our journey on the premise of this very slender, very tender, very delicate unity that is waiting to explode with any little opportunity, the hope of greatness will be unachievable. And it looks like Nigeria is a microcosm, that FCT is like a microcosm of Nigeria. As it is here, so it is everywhere in Nigeria. Our unity is so tender, so fragile. Because if unity is not based on equity, fairness, justice, truth, then it can't be our common bounty. It's a bounty of a few people who, by the reason of the privileged office they occupy, have arrogated majority of what belongs to all of us to themselves and their children unborn. And the marginalized, the undermined, and the trampled upon, one day will come back to fight. And when that happens, that's what Chinua Achebe calls turning and turning the widening gyre. The falcon cannot hear the falconer, things fall apart, and the center cannot hold. So I don't want things to fall apart. I want the center to be able to hold. And FCT is the center of Nigeria. So if you can just demonstrate the capacity to bring unity into baking the cake, because we think of eating the cake. We don't think of baking the cake. But if we can actually make this cake bigger, and then everyone can have bigger slice, bigger chunk for us to enjoy in an atmosphere of unity and joy and gladness and oneness. And like Martin Luther called it, the symphony of brotherhood, that we know that we're all one. Whether we're from the south, from the east, from the west, and the original indigenes of FCT that we are one. And that what we ought to enjoy is a symphony of brotherhood. But currently, what we have is a discordant tone. And this discord is caused by lack of good leadership. That instead of galvanizing the people together, I've tried to fritter us away and say, you are Igbo, this is not for you. You are Yoruba, this is not for you. You are Hausa, this is not for you. You are Edo, you are Kalabari. I am a senator for original indigene of FCT. That already brings division. So I'm running for Senate in the FCT by the grace of God as a candidate of the Social Democratic Party to make that mantra of center of unity not to be a mere slogan, but to be an ethos, a lifestyle, a covenant that we all allude to, that we are going to work together with one bond to manifest it for even the blind to see that these are truly a united people on a mission to make FCT the capital, the dream capital of every black man across the world. So that's what it means to me.
A living example of the fact that Nigerians can coexist.
We can.
Can coexist?
We actually do. We do in the market. We do in the market. We do in the school. The only area where we're not doing is in the political arena, and it's on purpose. So there's a class that saw that as a way to continue to aggravate the little division that exists in between us. But in their class, yes, in their class, they are united. They are not divided. In their class, there's nothing like ethnicity.
True.
There's nothing like religion. Even class. You see senator flowing with honorable, flowing with governor, flowing with president. In their class, they are one. But they want to divide us, to rule us, so that they can continue to have the country locked down and hinder the opportunity of greatness from ever manifesting for the whole country. Because when it manifests for the whole country, then their power base is broken. You have lived abroad now. A constable in the US, police is not afraid to enter into the University of Harvard to arrest a professor. A clerk or a cashier in Walmart drives the car, his or her car to office, just the way, Nollywood star or Hollywood star. So it's a leveler. When there's good governance, you have a leveling environment that I don't need to defer to you or say Rankadede or beg or worship you. And they don't want that to happen. So that's why they have hijacked the country and they want to continue to run it down so that we can come to kneel down at their feet and beg for crumbs. And then they make 4-year cycle of turning us against each other because they want to continue to hold.
To be in power.
To power.
Very interesting. We'll come back to you. What about you, Juliet? What's the common good for you?
Yes, and going further, in addition to what Distinguished has said, to me, the common good is everything which I stand for and pushing forward to provide the solution to these issues. The people in FCT somehow have been separated into the indigenous people and the non-indigenous people. And it's quite unfortunate that this is so. And my own reason for running for the House of Representatives to represent the people of Amac and Bwari, it could even be larger, but that's my primary constituents. And being a House of Rep member, you're actually going to also be speaking for issues that relate to the entire nation. Bills that will be passed, issues that will be raised. Yes. And so I'm not limited to just my primary constituency, but identifying the issues in my constituency is not limited to the indigenous or non-indigenous. Although I understand the indigenous sentiments, which it's around issues about compensation, which is okay. Mayoral system is okay, and they feel because people come into their land, they're going to push them into extinction. We understand these issues, but it's not just about that alone. We also have issues like lack of infrastructure for everyone who lives in the FCT. We have issues relating to inadequate educational facilities, inadequate healthcare system, gender exclusion. We have issues relating to social justice. I go on the injustice. I go on the TV, radio, and I hear issues that happens to people. And there's no way they say these issues segregate between the baggies or the non-baggies or the poros. It happens to anyone and can happen to anybody. And these practical solutions will just be advocating on these issues. Because as a legislator, you're not the executive. Your role is to actually advocate as it relates to the Section 88 of the Constitution. You amend, you make laws, you review, and you also expose corruptions in various committees and agencies of the executive. It's just very clear. It's a clear-cut thing. And we plan to do this by making enough room for people to understand these issues, because it's quite unfortunate. We have people complaining about these things, but they don't understand what needs to be done. Some people don't even understand that the legislative elections are the same with the presidential. It's unfortunate. You hear people don't even know House of Reps seats exist in the FCT. So how then can you make them understand that what you're going there for is to advocate these needs, these issues that they now they calm down, they become practical solutions, they become the practical reality, and it doesn't just serve the indigenous, it serves everybody. For me, that's a common good being achieved for the common man, whereby the executive now listens to us, who are the legislators, and they implement these things for the everyday man to see, to be part and parcel of FCT. And also other bills, like we see the gender bills being rejected. I won't be such a person who will sit and I will not just raise up my hand and say yes, but we'll engage in quality conversations that people get to appreciate. These gender bills that were rejected, can we actually reintroduce them? Can they be passed? And if they are passed, how can it benefit the woman out there, the woman unborn, and the woman to actually make good use of such bills and to actually benefit her? So there are so many issues, and for me, just standing in gap for the people and seeing the way we will not be divided, but we'll be more united in our solutions.
That's interesting. That both viewpoints are so important. For you, it's an issue of standing in the gap is the word, and advocating for their issues, not just FCT, but for the individuals that make up that FCT. And also for you, it's also not allowing people to use our divisions as tools against us. A recognition that we are indeed one, and that indeed, even though you're running on the senatorial ticket for FCT, that FCT, I like the word you use, microcosm of Nigeria, it has all Nigerians here, and therefore should represent everybody's interests. And so implicit in both answers I believe, is the fact that the common good implies that we are all common, we are all part of a group. And therefore, you are going in there to work for everybody within that group, irrespective of tribe and tongue and religion and other divisions.
Gender.
Yeah. Okay, we will move on. There are many things I could still try to delve into there. But perhaps, I'll change my mind. Perhaps before moving, I want both of you to address very briefly, how do you ensure that the common good is indeed common? How does it reach the ones in the periphery? What are you going to do in your various capacities, the good Lord supporting you to get in there, to make sure that the more marginalized of us benefits? Just a few, let me start with Juliet. A few sentences here, and then we'll move on.
Okay, for me, if it's the issue of the social injustice meted out to the people in the 22 wards of the FCT, we'll open our doors, law firms, to be able to accommodate these issues and then follow up with the court matters. So we're not looking at if you're from Orozo ward, you're not looking at if you're from Igu ward, Amac, Bwari, we're all one. So accommodating these issues, giving the people a listening ear to be able to have those people channel their grievances to somewhere and seeing that there's solutions. Then if it's the issue of infrastructure, the hospitals, and you're agitating for the Ministry of Health, Education, you're actually going to be talking to them about those particular primary health care centers in the 22 wards and how they can actually be rehabilitated to suit the people's needs, so there's no discrimination. If you're talking about the issue of creativity and enhancement of the youth's skills and talents, you're actually now saying, oh yes, the youth of the 22 wards within my constituency, we have this application, we have this slot, come on board, the various art and culture departments, the youth with creative skills. Oh, get everyone together across all the 22 wards. Let's get to have something like this, showcase your talent, people who want to partner, who want to sponsor. It's just being there. The people want to see that there's a relationship between the governed and those who are governing. So if the people and those who govern just want to see that relationship, and truly, who knows where opportunities will fall in life for them. Then social empowerment, you're looking at NGOs to partner with, and this is how it's done over in other climes. You partner with them and you distribute it evenly. You say women in a particular place, in various wards, you bring them together, women, even young men who actually need skills empowerment. There's so many skills to be learned, especially in the FCT. Somebody should not just sit at home and say he or she cannot do anything, but where you know you can be able to link them or be the linkage between those who actually want to reach out to those people. It's very easy and possible. So these are just practical solutions to actually reach out to people within this world. And it's not hard. The only thing is that what you need is getting people that are actually responsible, people that actually want to do things for themselves, people who are not actually want to settle for mediocre, be mediocre, they want to actually be excellent, and you actually get things done. Then for the infrastructure, we'll just keep advocating, and we know definitely when we push forward, the right ministries, like it's there in the Section 88, you expose corruption, you expose waste, they'll be able to now attend to these issues, and there'll be even distribution.
I will come back to you, but let me turn to Olanrewaju.
Thank you, Ma. The answer to the question you ask is in Section 2 of the Constitution of Nigeria. The business of government is to take care of the security and welfare of the people. And how do you do this? So the executive have a way of doing their own. And how do the legislature do this? So the legislature does this through one, robust legislation that actually goes deep down to the root of the problem and solves it. So that's why there's amendment of constitution. That if you found out from experience as legislators that some rules that have been made before, some laws that exist do not leaves a lacuna, you go back and tighten it by amending that part. So robust law making. That's one. Two, oversight. If we have a legislative regime, or if we live in a legislative environment that understands what oversight means, for example, the common good of the people that we are talking about is that they don't live in darkness after their country have been independent for 62 years. Who oversees the investment that have been put in giving us power for this number of years? National Assembly. They are not only in charge of appropriation, they are in charge of oversight to see that this money actually achieves the purpose for which it is done. But when you have legislators who are businessmen, who are contractors, who are deal makers, who come to the National Assembly to make deal, either as honorables or as distinguished, then this common good that we're talking about will not be achieved. And unfortunately, that has been the lot of Nigeria. That's why you see that today, a governor that has governed for 8 years, that has practically nothing to show for it, reserves one of the 3 slots for a state, for Senate, to become a senator.
Yeah, they move straight from governor to Senate.
So he comes to Senate to watch over the investment he has made as governors, to make sure that nobody investigates him, to make sure that he still has, his men in power, and he still have access to the law enforcement agencies to be able to make sure that they do not look into his corner. So, and for this common good to happen, we have to appeal, and that's why I'm looking to the camera. We have to appeal to the electorate, because as you lay your bed, ultimately, that's how you lie on it. So when you see someone like Juliet, who is brilliant, who is intelligent, and who demonstrates passion, and you say, okay, she's in a party that is small, and then you go and vote for a man who cannot speak good English, who had never spoken in any fora, who cannot represent you, cannot speak for you, and you vote for that person because he gave you 2,000 naira. You have sacrificed the common good yourself. Because the best person who could do the job is not hired. The same for Senate. I ran 4 years ago. I went to over 111 villages in FCT. You know what they told me? One, we have never seen a Senate candidate before. What manner of man are thou? Now, two, you don't have money. Why are you coming out when you don't have money? Now they have sacrificed their common good by voting for the person that has money, and for 4 years he has not spoken for them across the country, not only in FCT. So we need to understand that for common good to be achieved through the legislative arm, we must put people, like you said when you started, who have heart and who have capacity. Capacity to understand that this law is archaic and needs to be repealed for a new law to be made. Capacity to understand that this law is no longer dynamics. We are now in disruptive revolution, whereby someone can control taxes all over the world without buying one. And you now bring disruption into lawmaking to make sure that it works for the people. That capacity. That you need a lawmaker who has capacity to engage on your behalf, engage the president, engage the governor, engage the CEO of agencies of government who are gerrymandering on the issues of people's welfare, who are making business out of security to make sure that the security vote is spent. If there is peace, security vote does not need to be spent. So who are deliberately causing problems so that there can be insecurity in the land, and then they can be able to say, okay, you know what, the security vote is small, let's jack it up. So you need men with capacity who can engage on your behalf, and men with capacity and courage who can say, look at this, we're not taking this road. A road is supposed to be 4 inch size. What you have done for us is 1 inch, and they are saying, take Bryce, and I don't want this. I want the good of the people, not my own alone. So these are the areas where a lawmaker can bring change and let the common good of the entirety of the people be protected, be secured, be defended, and then, even be grown so that generations yet unborn will come and enjoy their portion of it.
Thank you very much. That was very well said. Excellent contributions from both of you. Before I move on to the next question, let me just say that what perhaps we, the people, would love to see is regular communication with us when you get into office. Because too often, we don't even, once the person gets in, don't hear anymore.
It's the people.
Yeah.
It's the people. And the media in Nigeria, I'm a member of the media community. The media in Nigeria has not done well for Nigeria. Do you know, that even as we speak, the focus is only on the presidency? Thank God for people like you who could bring us to speak to Nigerians. The power for transforming Nigeria resides in the National Assembly. But our people don't know. So what they do is that, okay, I'm Labour, so I'll vote for Labour Senator, Labour House of Reps. APC, I'll vote for APC presidency, APC across board. No, if you know that the National Assembly is a fulcrum of transformation of Nigeria, then you will make sure you send the best of the best to that particular, whether red chamber or green chamber. But Nigerians don't know. Yeah. So because they don't know, they can't, most of them don't even vote for. If you do an analysis of election in Nigeria, let me give you an instance. The gentleman that won Senate in FCT 4 years ago was a candidate of PDP. He had around 220,000 votes. And then the presidential candidate of PDP had around 260-something thousand votes. What do you notice? 40,000 people didn't vote at all. Even from PDP, they didn't even vote. So a lot of people just feel that, look, I don't even know who is contesting for Senate. I don't even know who is contesting for, because the media shut us out. So how many places can you go to? Abuja has 3 million population, over 300 villages, and you need to run around these places within a space of 3 months. Where do you get the money? So the people do not know that the power is in their hand, that if Juliet does not perform, if Osho does not perform, they recall us. There's something in the Constitution called recall. As honorables and senators, The Constitution gives us the power to impeach the president on behalf of the people. If he's not performing for them, we can send him out. But they, as the electorate that voted us in, they can recall us and say, you know what? You said you do ABCD. We didn't hear from you for the past 2 years. You didn't do nothing.
To my viewers, please remember
Osho's,
what Osho has. He's given us ammunition.
Yes.
He's told us about the ability to recall.
To recall. And all you need to do is just one person. It's one person that started this media show.
Yeah.
Not just one person called 2 or 3 people, and then you begin to gather signature. Once you have signature up to 100,000, you write a letter to National Assembly. This man that was sent to represent us, we don't want him again on ABC. Not trump up charges, but that he is not speaking for us. He's not representing us. We did not have value for money. We were shortchanged. We want to send somebody else.
And in addition, because of the way FCT is, we have a high number of more enlightened people, but who do not participate in elections. So the people who find it hard to comprehend what a manifesto is or a vision are the ones that vote. So it's going to be very, very difficult communicating these ideas to them. These are people that have never seen the 4 walls of a school. But the people who have seen and can now help these people achieve their purpose of being part of the system, they do not participate in election processes. So it's unfortunate. So we need now to engage their audience to help this, to make this audience now make it a very known thing, because FCT, like you said, is very unique. You take this idea now to your village. So even if you're not just using it in FCT, you're also using it in your village, in your state, wherever you came from, and the message just goes viral. So we need the audience of the enlightened people to help those who are not enlightened, and together we'll be able to have a better legislative
You
system.
made what I consider a very loaded statement when you say that the people who understand manifestos do not participate.
They don't vote.
They don't vote. But you see, I think it's to greater or lesser extent. I think it cuts through everything. A lot of Nigerians in the past do not vote because they don't believe they didn't believe their votes count.
Because most of them also took part in compromising the system.
Yeah. So, but now we believe there's a new movement where we want where as many people as possible are now gearing up to vote, and therefore that is particularly for us in the stage, like I said, part of our effort to support that, make it bring you all more to the attention of the public. Let those of us, in my call of action, I called it the silent positive majority. Let the silent positive majority speak.
Yes.
Because silence is actually siding with negativity. Yeah. Because it gives the people who want to misuse it the power to do so. Yeah. But so many of us are good, honest, God-fearing Nigerians. This time around, we shall not keep quiet.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's so much to discuss, but let's move on to almost the last segment. It's not quite the last one. When I ask you, okay, you must have spent months and weeks thinking about this move. This time I will let Juliet start. What makes you feel that you are qualified to be doing this? What competencies, what qualities, what sentiments do you have? Why do you think we should vote for you? Why do you think you're the best candidate for the post you're vying for?
Okay, I'll start with the fact that I'm a dedicated person. And it showed from the ability to want to read law. We didn't give up. After reading linguistics, we went back, irrespective of the hurdles in the normal Nigeria setting that affects every public school, the ASU strikes. We focused on what we wanted to achieve, being an advocate, and we got it. And I lost in my first election, being a councillor, to run for councillor in the Kubwa ward. We lost, but we didn't take it as a loss. When we were actually called and begged to represent.
Let me joke and interrupt you, because you're saying we, and I'm wondering who are the other people. But I think that's a legal term, is it? Where we
Yes.
the
Why,
team.
why I say we? Because when
The
I was
team.
running then,
Okay,
when
okay.
I was running then, I didn't see myself as the only person running.
It was a team.
Okay.
I saw the women running. I saw the
Okay.
youths running, and we beckoned to them, but they shut their doors on us. It was a significant one. And just February this year, some were like, they didn't even have a PVC. It was unfortunate. Go get your PVC then, as of January. They'll tell you they didn't care. What's a counselor? What was counselor? What does counselor do? That's too low. Juliet with 2 degrees, Juliet with a master's. You're trying to tick the master box and you're running for a counselor. The women were even the worst. They saw me like somebody who is a joker, go to your husband's house. And the young girls were like, come on, go paint your face and leave the streets and leave the sun. It was a teary moment. Until now, I say the youth, the youth. You can't say the youth without adding the young women. And if they continue to get displaced out of the system, it will tell on the youth numbers giving the actual votes come 2023. We need them. They are very important. We need their attention drawn to focus. And so for me, when I said we, I meant the young woman who was just who is just barely above 18. And also the younger ones coming, who want somebody to hold their hands. I didn't have anyone to hold my hand while I was running for councillor, but I pushed forward, and that was the dedication. And when the party called me and said, Juliet, we are devoid of youths and women, come and represent your generation once again, I came forward, I stepped in. Today, the popularity around Barrister Juliet didn't come from people or money. It came from my voice. I don't even have a campaign office. People don't know this. I don't even have a campaign boss. My mom gave me her own car to use when my car broke down. These are issues. And for the common man who sees themselves, it's not yet my time. When I get all the billions, then I run for office. But yet, we'll show dedication, being committed to a purpose. And that was why I gave my campaign mandate, charting a new course. So irrespective of what people have said, you must have money bags. No, you can have skills. You can have knowledge. So what I bring to the table is the knowledge for service. You can't come empty. Nobody listens to you when you just say, it's my right, it's my turn, it's my area. You don't do that. You come with something to offer the people. And what we want to offer is that we can think on our feet. We can profess solutions when the problems are before us. We can ask questions. We have the ability to bring people, a team to the table and seek advice, not just anyhow advice. I shun psychophancy. So for someone with so much educational background like me, and being able to serve before now in capacities of people from various parts of Nigeria, in the platoon camp where I was a platoon leader, in the schools, in the law school, in the MBA where I was a financial secretary. We've met people, we've mingled with people from the 36 states of this country. So trust me, it will not be difficult to be able to have people from all walks of life in the FCT and not be able to carry them along. It's just those experiences we've built over the years, putting them in place. And then with the skills of a lawyer, you understand it, you know how to interpret the law. You know where to dot the T's and cross, you know when to dot the I's and cross the T's. We know how to say, oh no, go tell your lawyer to do things this way. Speak to the judiciary. There's a whole lot of problems with the judiciary in this country. And if we can address these issues, we'll have a long way to go. Somebody needs to speak. But if nobody is speaking, the people remain dormant. So these are the things we'll bring it to the table. Thinking on our feet, knowledge. We're coming also with dedication, empathy, being able to look people in the face and feel their pain. Someone like me, I didn't come from a rich background, but okay, as a woman, I tell people, it's not hard to say this. My mom has been my pillar. She's at the backbone telling me, go on, young lady, I'm cheering you on. And that's what we want to advocate for more women to do to their daughters and do to their sons. And I was happy a few days ago, a woman called me about 67. Nigerians also saw what Mama of Abuja did for me. In the national TV, she stood up and prayed for me because she said all her 85 years, she's never heard this. We also saw 2 days ago a woman of 67 calling her sons, you must work for this girl. That is the power and place of a woman. So we know all this wisdom to be able to engage the right audience, and we'll be able to chart a new course.
Okay. Great speech, young lady. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And the courage. Olanrewaju,
Yes, ma'am.
over to you.
What's the question?
What makes you feel you're qualified to be doing this, to be asking us to cast our vote for you, and that when you get in there, you are top quality for that position in the Senate?
Thank you, ma'am.
Why you?
Why me? First of all, what kind of leadership does FCT need at this time? That was a question I sat down and I asked and I answered. FCT needs a leader who understands, number one, the place of FCT in the greatness of Nigeria. FCT needs a leader who understands what Section 299 said, that FCT shall be like the 37th state of Nigeria, and yet it's not a state. So that kind of ambiguity that existed in the Constitution created a lot of problems in this place. So FCT needs a senator, a leader that understands that particular issue. FCT needs a leader that understands the dynamics of FCT. The fact that for 42 years, there are several issues that have been swept under the carpet. And if we continue to sweep them under the carpet, it will become a conflagration one day that may consume all of us. And that we need to begin to address these issues one by one. Finally, FCT needs a leader who is a human being, who has a heart, who has a brain, who has a mouth, and who knows that all these were given for a purpose. The brain to think for the solution of the city, the heart to empathize with the pain that people are going through, and the mouth to speak for them. And I look at my life. This is me. So this leader that FCT is looking for, I found a profile in myself. It's like my profile. As a youth corper, just like Juliet, I went to the prison in Ilorin, Kwara State. And I was shocked to see someone who has been in prison for 7 years because of 10,000 naira. I was shocked. I was shocked to find that prisoners have the highest, you cannot even think of the quantum of lack that exists in their midst, despite the budgetary allocation. At times, ordinary toothpaste to brush their teeth, or soap to bath themselves. So, because I had a heart, I went to Lagos, spoke to the big conglomerate in Lagos. I saw a problem. Help me solve the problem. And they gave me huge supplies, consumables, toiletries, detergents to meet these needs that I saw in the prison. And it was so huge that instead of giving to prison alone, it can cater for other agencies. So I catered for the motherless baby in Ilorin and the lepers colony in Umuaran. And for this, I won the state award as a youth corper. But I didn't stop there, because each time I went back home, the voices of these people who are in prison because of 10,000 naira for 7 years kept haunting me. I saw people who ought not to be in jail in the first place if our judiciary was okay, like Juliet spoke about. And I couldn't just rest. Nigeria had 24 estates then. So I contacted the NCCF, Nigerian Christian Corpers Fellowship, in all the 23 other states. And I said, you know what? Send a delegation to the prison, look for ABC for me. And if you found anyone that is in this, criteria, please send their names to me. Ma'am, I compiled 185 names as a youth corper. This was a time there was no telephone. This was a time there was no internet. I went out of the box to put their names together and sent to the Attorney General for prerogative of mercy. And some of them were considered. Now, I came to FCT when we moved the law school from Lagos to Abuja in 1997. And I was the head of public affairs. And the head of accounting was traveling to Lagos, and he died in an auto crash in Okene. And I was called upon because we lived in the same house. And then coming back, traffic crashes has never been that close to me. I'd seen people died. I'd seen crashes occur. But I'd not lost anybody. And now I lost a colleague. I couldn't sleep. I don't want any other person to lose a colleague. I don't want any other person to lose a family member. I started the road safety NGO when Nigeria was losing 40,000 people annually. And I work as a young man. I was just 31, 32. And I became a global voice for road safety in Nigeria. And I became a global road safety advocate. appreciated at AU, ECOWAS, WHO, United Nations. I've done it all with my income. With my own income. I was earning 25,000 naira from the law school, and I was doing this. I wrote the first book on how to reduce accidents in Nigeria. So I'd always been involved in every problem that I saw. I've always been involved in how to solve the problem. And I hate politics. I must let you know this. I hated politics with passion because of the derogatory, the kind of bad names that they call politics. I don't want stigma on me because I felt that, look, I was just okay the way I was. But I've been in private sector. I've seen that private sector problem, no matter how intelligent you are, honest you are, you can't solve that problem from the private sector. You can't solve the problem of Nigeria from the private sector. I've been in public sector. I worked for law school for 5 years, for Securities and Exchange Commission for almost 11 years. I found out that you cannot solve the problems of Nigeria if you are just one public servant that is a good person. I've worked for the development sector, the third sector, the NGO sector. I ran 2 NGOs, including going to secondary school to teach children free of charge on leadership and volunteering. I've trained over 60,000 secondary school students in FCT from 2013 till date. But the more I do, the more problems exist. So what does that mean? It means the governance sector is the fixed-seat sector for Nigeria. And the governance sector is a position you attain to by getting elected, either as House of Rep, or as senator, or as a governor, or as a president. So I've been here for 25 years. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of Abuja. And I have the brain and the heart to put a team together that will advocate, innovate, actionize all the ideas and make sure that we're able to solve as much of these problems as can be solved within a cycle of 4 years. That is the tenure of a senator. That's why I think I'm the best. And when I go, I'm a man with boot on the ground. I think I know this territory more than anyone who had run for election in this town, with all humility. I've sat with people under mango tree in Kebi Mangoro, where you have to climb a rock to be able to make a call. I've sat with people under the tree in Agiana Pandegi, where you have to enter a boat that has no life jacket, and your life is in your hands. If you sink, you sink. I've done that. I know every nook and cranny of the 62 wards in FCT. I've seen their problems. I have a dossier of them. I've discussed with the people. Many times I come back shedding tears in these expeditions because I have a heart. And the people of FCT need a leader, a representative who has a heart. Because particularly, the senator of FCT is the governor of FCT. He's the only one that is elected by the entire 62 wards to speak for them, to engage for them, to plead their cause, and to bring solution to them. And that's why I know, by the grace of God, I am fit for the job, as the job is fit for me.
Beautifully said. Thank you, both of you. Very stimulating. If I was going to vote tomorrow, I will quickly go cast my votes for both of you. But thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing your hearts, your thoughts, your lives with us. Thank you for allowing us to see from where you are coming and to see where you hope to go to. And our prayer indeed is that the good Lord willing, you get there,
Amen.
that you will do what you plan to do, and that we will look back in 4 years and be proud, and there will never be a need to recall you.
Amen.
But let me go on to the last section of this very stimulating discussion. Again, I thank you. For me, this is peculiar to this age. There are 2 groups of Nigerians that I'm passionately devoted to. Young people, to me, the reason is obvious. They are our today and our future. They're not just our future, they are also our today, because they make up roughly 70 to 80, depending on who is counting, 70 to 80% of the population of this country. And therefore, if you say you've achieved and made progress and cannot demonstrate it, how it affected young people, you haven't made progress.
That's true.
The second group are women. They are, in terms of population, again, probably 50% of our people, but they also form the earth of our country. For many of us, for almost, without fear of contradiction, I can say a mother is such an huge influence on our lives.
Yes.
We give birth to people, to the nation. We mold, we form. When I say we now, I am proudly a mother myself.
Motherhood, yes.
Yeah. And so women, and what the world doesn't realize is that you cannot make progress when you leave half your population behind you.
Yes.
Particularly a population that I believe God endowed with molding and rearing and, people. And so I say, I cannot end an interview without turning to our potential future leaders and saying, what are the concrete plans? First of all, I can ask, are they important to you? You will, of course, say yes. But what plans do you have to further the good, the progress of these two particular groups, young people, women?
Thank you, ma.
Juliet is smiling at me. Let me give you the last step, because I'm sure you have a lot to say on that.
Thank you so much, ma. Any investment in the young people of our nation and in the mothers of our nation is the only investment that can have a multiplier effect. And if you have an investment that can have a multiplier effect, then that's the investment to go for. And in my plan for FCT, my agenda for FCT is called FCT New Deal. FCT New Deal, because FCT has been given poor deal of leadership, poor, substandard deal of leadership. And we need a new deal. And in this new deal, looking at the acronym, the word N for the new means new opportunity for the youth. So you can see it's well captured in my ideology. And the new, the W is women empowerment. Women in Nigeria don't need so much, only just that we have a government that does not really care for us. I was campaigning 4 years ago. By the way, I didn't tell you, I ran for Senate in FCT 4 years ago as a candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. Okay, there were 32 candidates and our party came forth. So we really,
well done.
Yeah, we really struggled. And while campaigning, I saw a woman in Takushara who put a large basin on her head, going to fetch water. If you go to the grassroots, and averagely a woman spends not even only a woman, the mother or the children or the young people, only the father is excused, spend an average of 2 hours in a day looking for water. Even if it's just 1 hour that you spend looking for water, in another country where they just turn a tap and water comes on, then it means that a part of your life is gradually wasting away looking for water. Another part is you used to go and look for firewood. So when you aggregate the number of hours that the women and the young people in the grassroots devote to looking for water and firewood alone, your heart will break. And this woman finally got to the stream to go and fetch water. But before she got there, a herdsman had gotten there with a herd of about 150 cows. And these 150 cows drank from the stream, wee-weed in the stream, poo-pooed in the stream, and then moved. And because there was no other source, she still had to fetch that water and take it back home. So you can imagine a lot of other things that surround drinking that kind of water. So if you can look at the issue that surrounds the women generally, what their counterparts in other countries are not, they don't bother about, but they waste 2, 3, 4 hours on a daily basis just to survive. And you can bring solution to that. You will have done a lot of good for women. But I believe that in women empowerment generally, I can't shave your head behind you. And there's no one drug fits, no size fits it all. What Juliet needs definitely is different from what you need. You are the only two women in the room now.
You may be surprised. We like the same thing.
Yeah, it may be, but at times it's not all the same. But even if you do have the same need, then we have to make a discussion. And then we have to find it out by research, empirically, that there's an alignment of what your needs are. So we have a program to engage women, through women, what do you call it now? Like a retreat of
a discussion
forum to find out that what are the best ways that women will want to be empowered. Not all these take machine, sewing machine, take grinding pepper. That's what we have as empowerment today. We're going to change that completely by empirical research and finding out what women need. And then the women, the 35% affirmative action, my party does not subscribe to that. SDP does not believe that women deserve 35%. We believe that women deserve 51%. So for every appointment that we are going to be making, we're going to make sure that the women are not only in the room, but that they take the rightful number of seats that belong to them in the room. So that is also what we are committed to. And then, if you do not educate the girl today, that's the woman tomorrow. So this issue of girl, child education and so on and so forth, and all the issue of gender mutilation, I've been involved in all of this as an NGO person. So we are going to focus robustly on that. But on the youth, today you find a lot of young people that are graduates and that are unemployed. Why? Because Abuja has 4 basic issues. And one of the 4 basic issues, for the sake of time, unless you permit me, but one of the 4 basic issues of Abuja is lack of opportunities for young people. And if you do not create opportunities for young people, then an idle man's mind is the devil's workshop. Then you are going to unleash criminals, yahoo, all manner of, characters that we don't want into the society. So how do we create opportunities for the youth? This is my focus. And I'm going to do this in a program called Swap. Swap means Skill Up Abuja. Skill Up Abuja, and then Sports Up Abuja. And through the Skills Up Abuja program and Sport Up Abuja program, we intend to create in 4 years around 250,000 jobs. And then through the other elements of FCT New Deal that I told you about, the D is for development. What do we want Abuja to be noted for? You are widely traveled, man. New York is noted for something. Washington, D.C. is noted for something. Are we the conference capital? Or are we a tourism hub? Are we an aviation hub? There has to be a definition to what Abuja is. And if we're able to do this, then we are going to promote development in that axis. And then we are going to have, foreign direct investment coming into Abuja. And then industries also springing up that can employ our graduates that are unemployed. So we have not only taken care of the unskilled, we're also taking care of the skilled.
Olanrewaju, is how will you be able to laudable projects, but as a senator, do you have funds? How are you going to be able to
it's amazing. I was looking at, I knew you asked this question. The senator of FCT is like a gate man of a house. His primary duty is to be a gate man and make sure that no intruder comes in. And then he's also a plumber. A plumber. He knows how to fix, and he also has skills in doing electrical work. And then he sees some things falling apart in your house. And he says, Madam, employ me for a gate man. Even though I can fix this water that is running, I'm not a plumber. He looks away. And he sees, wire that can shock people. And all he needs to do is just to fix it. And looks away. Do you think that's a good person? The answer is no. Even though traditionally he was employed just to be a gate man in your house. Of course, once he shut the gate and he put padlock from behind, since nobody is coming outside, he can begin now to use this other extra time to say, let me quickly fix this leaking tap, this damaged tap, so that water that is wasting will no longer waste. The senator of FCT is not like any other senator in Nigeria. This is the headquarters of all the multilateral agencies, like UN. So there are opportunities there, for the people in FCT. This is where all the embassies are. This is where all the MDAs are. This is a potpourri of opportunities. And since there's no governor, and since the executive that we have is the minister, who is not elected, who is not even properly appointed. And what do I mean by proper appointment? Does the president of Nigeria look at CVs, for example, 10 CVs, and say, among these CVs, who is the best qualified to run FCT to become the city of our dream? They just put anybody as minister. So, and the man that is now elected to cater for the issues of the people and the FCT development, the issues of the people, he must put an eye on development. And that's why I said the senator of FCT.
And in other words, find ways and means.
Think out of the box. So he wears two caps.
Okay.
It's
we'll
like
leave
a senator.
Because I can see you can go on. Let me turn to Juliet. I'm actually asking you, I think this question in you, in a way, is unfair. We're asking you to talk about what you will do for yourself. Because you fall into both categories, young people and women. What are your plans? What are you proposing? How do you intend to improve their lot?
Okay, based on the problem already existing, I'll start by saying we'll start from the conversations. The conversations need to change, and that will be through engagement and quality awareness. And by virtue of when we win, it's going to shake Africa. Being the youngest in the entire Africa, youngest parliamentarian being elected into office, and a woman, and the youth.
Oh, I think we want to shake Africa.
Yes. So this is for us. So this will be for us. And so, all eyes will be on us to perform, and help will actually come. When I mean help will come, there'll be a whole lot of engagement towards these issues. And then the young man and young woman now sees that school is not a waste at all.
Yes.
So you're saying your winning would be an example, an inspiration to many like you out there, both in terms of being female and being young.
Yes. And then
to
also
get involved.
Yes. And also appreciating education. We've gone so far because we've had the right expression of words. We've caught audience because of how we communicate. And all these are because of you applying the school wisdom and then the society wisdom, that's the street smartness, like we will call it. So we need all this here. So you native intelligence and those education and intelligence. So they come together. And then as a proud fish farmer, they now know that, you must not have all the money back to run election, but just monies that you can use to aid yourself, enable you. So now the youth now say, I can actually play a role in my community. I can run with the right mindset, with passion. So the conversation now is changing. Then the woman, I was just selected among those who represented the youth to go for Yaga conference in Kano. And the conversations we had around all those who have won, it's funny enough, it's surprising. Youths and women have been the forerunners of any elections in the country. Women vote, youth vote. They've given them the winning power. How come women have not translated these votes to making themselves come into power? So there's a conversation we need to have as a people that truly women can be competent and we can vote ourselves in. And the youth, and it's also affecting the youth. You saw what happened during the former movement. They didn't have a leader. They didn't have somebody to send. So now we coming in, send us to go represent you. Quality representation, not just sending us. So now they themselves will now imbibe these qualities and take home. So it's more like you're a role model. You're shaping thought. You're provoking thought. The conversations are changing from what it has been before. And that's by everything we eschewed from an average background. So your dad doesn't need to be Dangote or something. Your mom, my dad is even late. So you can be raised right. And then it also translates to the family background. What are we teaching our kids? Can you allow them go standing for elections like I did in 2012 at age 18 in the university, and we were the POs of one of the largest polling units in Edo State won the local government. But we stood in for those elections. Can you allow your kids engage in these conversations and actually be practical about it? So it's changing. The narrative is changing from various angles. And then you now see they become more interested. And then they see, oh, she's a farmer. That means you can appreciate skills. We have people that do see skills as a burden. We are in that time that people see skills as a burden. I've had a lot of people watch me fish farm and they say they can't do it. So we're not even talking about the capital now. We're talking about productivity, using your hands. And these are the same people that will go abroad and become caregivers to old people. But you come to Nigeria, you're weak to do something for yourself. The conversations need to change. Skills will be appreciated. I've never worked in a government parastatal before. I just, from my love, from practice from the older ones, taking pupillage, I was able to garner experience and set up my own. And we're still open to learning. It doesn't end. So we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So we want those people to have these conversations. So nobody is giving you easily. You seek for it and you appreciate it when it comes to you. So you can be able to bring results out of these things. Therefore, hard work now becomes appreciated. There's perseverance, there's sacrifice for nation building, then there's love for each other, which will now make more women, more youths come into governance. So there's a whole lot. So with skills acquisition, empowerment programs, partnering with every of the three arms of government, the judiciary are partnering with us, the executive are partnering with us, because you are an oversight foreseer, you are someone who performs the oversight function. So you're taking every other arm of government together with you, and you're changing the narrative, you're engaging the right minds, and just being in a position of influence. It's going to be amazing how much positive results we'll get. So that's just it.
Okay, thank you. That was very well said. I think for me, what is resonating is you're saying that you are expecting, you are hoping that you will be a strong symbol of the ability to succeed and achieve, and showing you have courage to venture in both capacities, which could possibly, could ordinarily have been disadvantages, being young and being a woman. And therefore, when others see you do it, they begin to realize it's doable, despite the monumental odds. Let me also say to you, I agree entirely. And I doff my cap to your courage, and sincerely hope that you will succeed and you won't give up. But also to say that for the future, particularly for you, to him who achieves much, I'm modifying an old adage. Usually it is said, to him who much has been given, much is expected. But let me say, to him or her who achieves much, much will be expected. Because the other side of that coin is, if you go in there and you remain quiet and people don't see the result of your being there, it's a huge discouragement. So let that always be the dog at your back, and you're remembering that in the same way you have had the courage to come out and vie for the position, is the same way in which you will do your very best in there to have concrete results to show for having been there.
Yes.
Thank you all so much. Thank you both very much.
Thank you so much.
You have shared candidly with us. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
It has allowed us to understand you, to see from where you're coming and where you intend to go. And we're pleased on the stage that we're doing this. You confirm that for us. We need to hear our leaders, but I always like to say our servants.
Yes, our servants.
People who are coming out to serve this country, to love us, to ensure our common good, to recognize that we're not all equal, and there has to be equity, not just equality. And to put our great country where it belongs in the world map. Nigeria is one of the greatest countries in the world.
Absolutely.
We are proud, each and every one of us, to be a Nigerian.
Yeah.
We are marching on to take our rightful place in history. And if we come out, all of us, sincerely working towards that, there is no reason why we will not be blessed and supported to make it happen.
Yes.
I thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to our viewers who have patiently stayed with us. But I'm sure for you, this was as informative as it was for us on the set. We shall continue to do our best to bring our aspiring leaders to you. And to all the many candidates who are there under different platforms, for different positions, at different levels, we are open. Please reach out to us. We need you to come and talk to us. We need the right type of leadership at every level this time round. Continue to be with us as we walk towards that God-given goal for 2023. We thank you. See you next week.